And it had gotten all over the news just that quickly that day. And by the time the day ended, 5 other persons had enrolled. But one of my classes, Principles and Problems of Secondary Education, and he was my principal problem of secondary education. He gave me the hardest time I've ever had in my life for racism and segregationism. Till today, it still pulls at my heart to see how hateful a person can be toward another person. And there were 24 of us in the class. I'm the only black. And there were times that the class had to ask him to give me some relief, but I was not going to leave that class. I was determined not to. We had a report to do. You had to interview persons in that report before you make your report. Interview it, give your outline to the professor, let him know who you had interviewed, then go back and make your research paper. And thus I had done so. And luckily I knew the superintendent of schools during that time, and his name was Mr. Frazier. And I interviewed him to get some of my information. And then there was his, and he was African American. And the city did not like that too well, but he was an African American. But Charleston is good for boycotting. Charleston is excellent for boycotting. They will shut you down if you become too negative for them. And so they knew not to fight Mr. Frazier too much. And anyway, it was Mr. Frazier, and I interviewed another person. I think his name was Mr. Hart. But I got my information down, took it back, gave it to the professor. But what you had to do is, after you've gotten your information, you must get up and do a verbal report for 35 to 40 minutes from your paper. And I had done so. And it may be in a locked file, but on the paper, he wrote on the last page, he could find no errors on my paper, but he could not give me anything other than an A-. And he gave me a C as a class grade. A C, and my paper, he said in red that it was a perfect paper, but he could not grade me. But my other classes, I made up for it, brought my average up in the other classes that I took. But that was the hardest of my life. And so it made me determined to keep on going.